Good evening, young Padawans and Padawins. It is I, JT the Redneck, and it is Monday night. I tell you what, man, I feel like I'm living in a twister world with M. Night Shyamalan writing every frickin' line. Whew. I tell you what, 3 Ewoks in the park. I'm back one more time tonight. Myself and the geek Sully are going to be going over Andor Season 2, Episodes 10, 11, and 12. I'm not going to mess around. Get something, yourself something to drink. Sit back in that beanbag chair. Trap yourself in because, folks, it's going to be one bumpily-ass ride. Sully, it's all yours.
Oh, I thank you, sir, and hello, everybody, and welcome to 2 Ewoks in the Park. I love when JT does that intro. It's wonderful. You do a great job, sir. Great.
Never know what the hell I'm going to say, do you?
It's very true. It's very true. Not going to lie. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about over these last 3 episodes of Andor. Holy crap.
I mean, and it was damn near from word go on episode 10.
Yes.
You know, I mean, and I had to throw the M. Night Shyamalan in there just because of what happened to
Luthen?
I can't think of her name.
Oh, Midra,
yeah. Just because of what happened to her. I mean, honestly, that's the first thing I want to talk about.
Deidre Marrow. Dun, dun, dun.
It's Deidre Marrow. I mean, okay.
But we can't really.
Why?
Because each episode leads up to that. Plus, I accidentally ruined it for you.
Yeah. Not really. I mean, I knew what the end result was, but the end result, the proof of the end result that you accidentally gave me didn't really show up until end of 12.
True. But I didn't
We
mean to do
suspected
that.
it was pretty obvious what was going to happen, but it wasn't confirmed.
Yes.
Until end of 12.
But I still also didn't mean to do that. So
oh no, I know you didn't. You didn't catch the fact that I said watched episode 10.
I missed that part. I thought
watched episode 11.
I thought you were already on that.
No, we actually we broke it up over the weekend.
Okay, makes sense.
We did 10 on Saturday, 11 on Sunday, and then 12 tonight. Because I can't do with this series. I could not do 3 episodes in a row.
Really?
I could barely do 2 episodes in a row.
I got you on that one. Want to say
I mean, there was
Mike. Just came in on TikTok. Hello, Mike. How are you, sir?
Hey, Mike.
JT.
I mean, there was just so much that went on in each episode that,
oh yeah,
you know, for a simple little redneck mind like mine, even though how much stronger it's gotten over the years that we've been doing this,
it really has. The force is strong with you now.
It's still pretty freaking overwhelming.
But you've come a long way.
Come a long way, baby. Have a Virginia Slim.
You really have. You've come a long way when it comes down to Star Wars and the knowledge that you now have of Star Wars. You know? I
mean, up until now, you know, I was, you know, I enjoyed it just to enjoy it. I was just a casual observer.
Yep.
Whereas now I'm, you know, I'm still just the casual observer, but in the back of my brain goes, wait a minute. What was that? What did that mean? You know, that kind of shit.
I'm turning the redneck into a geek. I love it.
I will never be a geek.
I never said you would be a geek. I said I'm turning you
I may be geek-ish.
Yeah.
I will admit to that.
Yes.
I have become a little geekish.
But
I would never be a geek,
all right.
even though I have the physical makeup for it.
I want to thank Mike for liking the live. I do appreciate it, as always. We're going to get right down to it. So if you haven't watched episodes 10, 11, and 12 of Andor, spoiler alert, it's happening. We've been saying from the beginning that this season the writing has been phenomenal. We can agree on that. The writing has been phenomenal. And the first 6 episodes was that slow climb up the slope. And these last 6 episodes have been that fast roller coaster ride. But
it hasn't been overwhelmingly fast.
No, it's been. I think it's been just right.
I gotta tell you, with 5 years worth of shit.
Yes, and they had to cut a lot out too.
Yeah, put out in a 12 episode, we'll say, hour series.
Yep.
Amazingly enough, it was not overwhelming.
No.
It at any point. So, big kudos to them on that, because it would have been too easy to just simply overwhelm everybody.
Way too easy. But
yeah.
As we've been progressing, and we've already mentioned that when it comes down to this episode, a lot of things were causing the reason why it was shortened and things were cut out. The writer's strike, the actor's strike, we've already mentioned that. That played a huge role in shortening this down from 5 seasons to 2.
I'll be honest with you, though. I think 5 seasons
might have been too much.
That's what I'm thinking. I could see 3. I could definitely see 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
But I think 5 would have been too. People would have been bored with it by the time they hit 5.
Yeah.
So I kind of think it was a good thing that they cut it back. I think they might have been better if they cut it back to 3.
Yeah,
but
maybe
for cutting it down to 2, they did a good job.
Yeah, so for example, if they did season 1, which took place 5 years before the Battle of Yavin, maybe season 2 would have been 3 years before the Battle of Yavin, and then season 3 would have been leading up to
a year and a half to a year.
Yeah. So I can can see that. Mike, I will absolutely send you my schedule after the show. Because that's different. That's very different. But we're going to get right down to it, because these last 3, now obviously we know this takes place a year before the Battle of Yavin. So a year before Star Wars A New Hope. Which at the same time, Star Wars Rebels is happening. Just painting a picture for you, folks.
Yeah, whole lot of shit going on.
So Star Wars Rebels is mixed in. Luthen Rail, leader of the Axis Network. First of all, I would say this is the... Would you say the fall of Luthen Rail? Fall of Luthen Rail and the rise of the rebellion?
Rise of the Rebellion, yes.
Okay.
See, to me, a fall, like you're talking about, is
or maybe
when somebody goes from being a good guy to being a bad guy.
Well, yes.
To me, like Anakin going from being a Jedi to being dark. That to me was the fall of Anakin.
Yes.
To me, this is more Luthen doing exactly what he knew he had to do.
Yes.
He knew that his end result was going to be, he was going to die.
Yeah.
Whether it was going to be on a field of battle, whether it was going to be on a mission, whether it was going to be sitting in the back of his shop and they blew the damn thing up.
Sure.
All he knew was that the end result for him, because if I recall correctly, he said in series 1 or season 1,
yeah,
that he would never see the resistance.
You're right. He did say that.
So he knew he wasn't going to get there, but he had to get them as far along as he could. There was that one piece, that he needed to find, and he found it in episode 10.
Oh, well, yes and no. Yes and no. It was the last bit of information to tie everything together to Rogue One.
It was the one piece that was missing.
And I thought it was very interesting that we had a couple of things going on with this. You know, first and foremost, you have Deidre Merrow has been searching for him for the last 5 years.
At least.
Okay. So all of season 1, all of season 2, she's been looking for him. Hasn't really mentioned him because she's been doing a secret investigation to find him and expose the Axis network.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Luthen Rael has been doing what he needed to do by turning Imperial officers to the Rebel Alliance. Spies and moles.
It's the only way a resistance is going to have any chance of doing anything.
Because let's face it, in the eyes of the Empire, they're all bad. All bad.
If you're not on our side,
you're dead. Simple as
you're a bad
that.
guy.
We're gonna take you out and kill you. Now, the other thing is, we have what's his name? Jung, right? Supervisor Jung?
Yeah.
Supervisor Jung. Rael and him meet up in a very public area. People are walking by. It's kind of like a little park bench where there's plenty of foot traffic, and you're going to see people walking by, completely ignoring two people sitting on a bench and having a conversation with each other. Only the conversation is about what Jung found. And he even says, the cat's out of the bag. I found something. Something I shouldn't have. Something that has been buried deep down inside the computer systems. And oh, by the way, the Emperor is the reason for this. And even Luthen was like, whoa, wait a second. What are you talking about? And that's when Jung said, first of all, I need you to guarantee my safety.
And my family.
And my family. My wife and
my
daughter.
family.
Get them off world. It needs to be done no matter what.
Get us off world.
Yep.
We need, and he tried to not release the information until they were safe.
Yes, very true.
But, Luthen's not going to let that fly.
No.
No,
he didn't.
Because he knew they were, he knew that the ISB or that somebody within them was getting close.
Yes.
He knew that, especially with the fact that all his artifacts were going to be under scrutiny.
Right.
And everything else too. So,
Right. And that's where some interesting things start happening. And you can see that Jung is very on edge. Not even nervous, on edge. Because he flat out knows this is it.
Yeah, he was ready to snap.
And
He was ready to lose it.
he even said the electrical program that Emperor Palpatine has developed and is building is a cover-up for something big, a cover-up for something so big that this makes the Gorman massacre look like nothing. This is why the Gorman massacre happened. This is why things are getting put together. And even he said it is going to be bad. Now, of course, they didn't really go into full detail of what it is, but you can kind of put two and two together. Especially as Star Wars fans, we're reading right through this. We're going, oh, okay, this is great. He said it's all a lie. Everything from Gorman, Jeddah, Kyber crystal mining, everything. Everything. The labor camps on Scarif, which we know Scarif, that's in Rogue One.
Yep.
We know things are happening. And
well, then especially when you look at, Andor season 1.
Yeah. Yeah, at the end of season 1, what were they building? I mean, hell, they were putting the saucer, starting to put the saucer in place. Which is interesting because you would figure between what they were building with the saucer, it took them 5 years to put that whole thing together. It didn't even.
That's pretty damn quick.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, you're out in the vacuum of space.
Yeah.
And you're able to build something that's an entire planet big with everything inside of it and get it 90% completed.
And actually, you know what? Season 1 and season 2 is a little contradictory to each other. It's a little contradictory to each other because at the end of season 1, they were putting the dish together and they had it in segments. So the Death Star was nearly complete.
I mean, just because they're putting a dish in doesn't mean that it's complete.
I mean, it was pretty close.
Yeah, it's close, no doubt about it. But still, that's a lot of shit that you got to get put in there.
True.
It's not like a Lego set where you can just go and it's good. True.
But at the end of this one, and I'm going to try and find a picture of it just to show you. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, they had a lot of different things happen with it and images.
Yeah.
Because if I remember correctly, at the end of season episode 12, they show an image and it wasn't nearly done yet.
Right.
So it was kind of like a whole, here's a little twist for you. It took too long. which, if you think about it, kind of also goes back to season 1 of Andor and how delayed it was and leads into Rogue One saying that it was delayed because of the development of the Death Star. So that, it kind of makes sense, but there was a little problem there.
Yeah.
Just a little.
Well, you know as well as I do how construction snafus go.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
Missing one little bolt can slow you down for a month.
Yeah. I just thought it was really interesting that that's what they were showing. Right. Unless they were kind of going for a what's the word I'm looking for? Unless they were kind of going for that lead up of, okay, the whole thing is done, but without the kyber crystals and the materials from Gorman, we can't finish it.
Right.
You know, which would make sense.
Or we can't move forward with it because
Right.
we need those in order to be able to insulate the cannon.
Right, especially since it's so big.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of ways that it could go.
Indeed.
You know, when it comes to that. But we're nitpicking when we do that.
We are kind of nitpicking, and that's okay, because that's the whole point. It's the whole point of what we do. But Lani Jung obviously tells Luthen about this and tells them that, yeah, it's the Death Star. This is what's happening. Where, you know, this is the problem. You need to get me off world and take care of this. And he, you know, the next scene is basically saying that, you know, Colonel Yularen isn't even informed of this, and he only found out a month ago. So the Emperor obviously is keeping secrets from all his top brass guys. And that's where Galen Erso comes in. He's the designer of the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
So when Luthen repeats this to his assistant, Layla Markey, his assistant,
Mm-hmm.
she remembers Galen Erso. He's an engineer. And she's repeating everything that Luthen said to her.
Yeah.
Because Luthen knew shit was going to hit the fan.
Right. Well, and I found that conversation between Luthen and her very interesting.
Yes, especially the end.
With how it was done. Luthen told her everything.
Yep.
And made her tell him everything that he said back.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a memory thing. They say if you say something 3 times.
Yep.
It takes 3 times to get it to, you know, to stick.
Yes.
And as vital as this information was, he had to make sure.
Yep.
That it stuck. So he told it to her twice, and then she said it a 3rd time.
Yes. Say it again.
You know, and she tried to do the same, or she did the same thing later on to Cassian.
Yes. Say it again.
And she blew up at him about it.
Yeah. Well,
you know.
So while that also happens, Rail does promise Jung that he's going to smuggle his wife and daughter off planet and get to Yavin 4. However, he will not be making the trip. Luthen kills him.
Yeah.
And I understand
See, I don't
why.
think he even bothered to get the wife and kid out either.
I don't think he had that. Yeah, I don't think he even had that choice, unless he did that before the next couple of events, because it's possible.
I don't think he bothered. He had too many other things to do.
Agreed.
So I don't think anything ever happened with his wife and kid.
Yeah, it's kind of a cut the loose end and be done with it.
Yep.
And he was a loose end.
He was.
Because if he didn't kill him, the Empire would. But the Empire,
I mean, they were going to find, well, and not only that, not only would they kill him, but in the process of killing him, they would find out everything that he knew.
Yes, exactly. And that's not a good thing.
No, because it would have blown everything up.
Yes. Everything. And it wouldn't have been pretty. It would be all hell breaking loose. So he takes him out. He tells Markey to go to the predetermined location. And he offers to go back to the store and destroy everything. Which was kind of a smart move for him. mainly because he knew this was it. He knew this. If he didn't do it himself, something bad was going to happen no matter what, and he didn't want Marky to be the target.
Right.
So he's
and
protecting.
sometimes it's better to do something on your own to make sure that it's done right.
Oh, without a doubt.
No matter how well you've trained somebody.
Yeah, hands down. So what I thought was cool was that he was destroying everything with an acid, just pouring it all over the radios and the electronics in the back. And Miro shows up.
The doorbell rings.
Ding, ding dong. Miro shows up.
The look on his face.
You know, the look on his face was...
But you knew.
You knew, but I don't think he was really shocked.
Yeah.
That it was
he was straight-faced about it. He kept a straight face.
Yeah.
He wasn't shocked. I think the only thing was he was a little bit surprised that she had come that soon. He thought he had a little more time.
Yes. And that's why, that's why he destroyed the radio first. You destroy the one line of communication first. Who cares about anything else? Because that line of communication's got all the data on it. So you pour some acid on it and it's gone. You're good to go. You know? Well, that sparked a wonderful conversation about antiquities.
Yeah.
Which I thought was amazing.
It was a very cordial conversation.
It really was. And
I mean, considering that she could have come in there,
guns blazing,
hot like a rocket, guns blazing, just, doing that kind of thing. But like any good investigator, she's still going to try to get information.
Oh, sure.
Beforehand so that she can use it against him.
Well, yeah.
Afterwards.
Hands down. And I love that he started talking about the Notolan blade. The Notolan bleeder is what it was. It was a bleeder. And they used
a nice blade, though. Oh.
6,000 years in battle. And it was a nice jagged knife. And he even says, he thinks that all but 3 are fake. And I like that he's going through the gallery and showing the things that he thinks are fake. And he's, waiting for that information.
Right.
And that's when things get interesting because Miro smells the acid. She hears beeping. She even mentions to him how much of a criminal he is and that she finally got him, even though he's been hiding underneath imperial peace and quiet the entire time.
How else are you going to do it?
Right? Well, I thought his answer was great. Yeah. Of course. But this is where Miro got a little overconfident because she flat out said, well, you know what? Your rebellion is dead in the water. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. And that's that. You're under arrest.
Yep.
However, Rail was very confident in his answer and says, you know what? The rebellion has flown away. It's everywhere. You can't see it. You won't see it. And it's going to hit you when you least expect it.
Well, and that sentiment is even repeated by somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
In episode 12.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Which I found very interesting.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in a minute. Because as Miro calls in for Tactical to come in, Rail decides to stab himself lethally. And medics are coming and all that good shit. It's crazy. Perfect crime scene. I mean, technically, with the stabbing, he could have blamed Miro for stabbing him.
Could have.
But he didn't. Because he did stab himself fatally in the heart, mind you. Not in the gut.
Yeah.
Not in the lung.
Semi-fatally.
Oh, no. He stabbed himself where he needed to take himself out. He killed himself.
But it ended up only being semi-fatal. Because they got to him quick enough. That's the only reason.
Yeah. I mean, the medics did get there quickly. But... that's when things get a little hairy. Which, if you think about it, is probably one of the best things to have happened to really show what the Empire is willing to do to make sure their secrets don't get out. But also, anybody who is either the same level rank or lower will take that step to turn in anybody above them to advance their career.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you think about it...
where does that sound familiar from?
Well, we could go on and on about that conversation.
Right.
But at the ISB headquarters, and this is what this is all important part of this, okay? Because when it comes down to this, ISB now has Rail. They're trying to keep him alive, and they're going to do whatever they need to keep him alive. So they get him to an area hospital to do what they need to do. Supervisor Hirt learns from Legret that the meeting that they were supposed to have was canceled. They let him know that Jung is dead. And oh, by the way, Miro
jumped the gun
and went after Rail. So now we have so many different dramatic things going back to back.
Well, and the sticky thing with Miro jumping the gun and going after Rail is that she crossed over into an area or a district or whatever, a segment.
Yes.
That she wasn't supposed to be in.
Right.
She moved. She crossed over into an area of responsibility of Juno's friend.
Yep.
The guy that he always hung out with.
Yep.
Which, what the hell are you doing in my business?
Yeah, what are you doing in my territory, lady?
Yeah, so crossing lines there,
Well, this is where Clea comes into play. And in all reality, it's a good thing that she did.
Well, she had to.
Well, not only did she have to, but at the same time, he's all she knows.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was a neat part of the backstory to me that we found out in this episode.
Yes.
Is because that's something we never knew.
No.
Was how did these two become a pair? Become partners? Whatever their relationship was.
Yep.
How did that happen? How did they hook up? How did they meet?
Which was, for Rail, for Luthen Rail, it was not uncommon for people who are already a part of a military life, because he was an Imperial soldier at one point in time, to turn. Because they're human. They're human beings. Their conscience gets the better of them.
Yep.
Why are we doing this? Why are we killing innocent people? You know?
Right.
Why are we doing
Why are we
what we're
slaughtering
doing?
planets?
Right. Why are we conquering planets when they're a part of the Empire? What's the point of this? The point is the Emperor ruled the galaxy in fear, in darkness, with Vader at his side. Oh. First and foremost, I will say I am so glad we did not see Darth Vader or Emperor Palpatine in these episodes. And I
expected to.
I loved that they were only referenced.
Right.
Okay.
I thought we would. I thought we'd at least see Darth.
No, because of Rogue One.
Yeah, true.
That's why. Because we don't see
But
him
I figured we'd at least see one of them, but we didn't.
No, but they mentioned them by name. They
Yeah.
did, well, they mentioned Palpatine. They didn't mention Vader, which is perfectly fine. And again, I've been saying for a long time, there's more to Star Wars than just the Jedi and the Sith. We know this. Mandalorian, it worked out very well.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're starting to learn more about Clea's past and how she met Luthen, and that she was a stowaway in the ship.
On a battleship, on a battle cruiser.
On a battle cruiser. She was a stowaway. She was a local on the planet that they were on. And they had to, he had to make a choice. To be honest, I think he made the great choice of saving her and rescuing her, But I loved that they were showing those flashbacks and how conflicted he was. But I also like the fact that those flashbacks drove her to do what she needed to do next, which was infiltrate the hospital that he was staying in.
Now, think about this, folks. All right. Luthen is on the 19th floor
Yes.
of a full-service hospital.
Yeah.
She has to, one, infiltrate the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
get a nurse's outfit.
Yes.
19th floor was completely shut off.
Oh, yeah, lockdown.
They closed down the 19th floor. I think they closed down 18 too. Then she had to figure out how to get up to 19. Then she had to figure out how to get from the side of the hospital that she was on all the way over to the other side of the hospital where Luthen was.
All without being seen.
Without being stopped.
Which she didn't.
She killed, what, 3? I think it was 3 people on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe so.
2 troopers and then the guy at the door.
Yep.
Maybe 4, not sure. But then she had to get into the room and do the one thing that has got to be the hardest thing that anybody ever has to do.
Yeah.
And that is not only decide to pull the plug,
But to do it.
but to actually pull the plug yourself.
Yeah.
But I love what she did.
Mm.
She disconnected him. She waited till he was gone.
Yes.
She shed one tear. She wiped it away. And she left.
Yeah.
That scene was so freaking intense.
It got you in the feels.
Yeah, I couldn't move, dude. I was frozen in my chair.
And you're like, damn, can't believe this actually happened. Want to say hi to Meg, who just joined in on TikTok. Hello, darling. How are you? Good to see you. Now, the other thing with this is now, aside from taking care of this, hello, whoever. That's actually pretty cool screen name. Hello. Good to see you.
Hope you like Star Wars. We're talking Star Wars. Yeah.
Star Wars. Yay.
Yeah, the other thing is now, not only did she take out Luthen, but we're seeing different flashbacks of the character that he had.
Mm-hmm.
And
the way he brought her up, trained her as she was growing.
Yeah, and what I thought was really great about it was the fact that he was teaching her life.
Yeah.
He was teaching her life because in the long run, the Empire had a bunch of people all lined up ready to be executed. And he flat out told her, come on, you don't need to see this.
Yeah.
And she said, I do. Why can't I see this? Let me help them. Or at least not really help them. It was more of, why aren't we helping them?
Right.
And as he put it, it's not our business, and in due time.
You have to pick your moment. But and at the same time, I think he needed, the reason that he did walk away from her.
Yep.
Was because he needed her to see that.
Yes.
You know, he
Without a
wanted to
doubt.
protect her, which is a natural instinct.
Yes.
But at the same time, part of him said, you know what? Maybe she needs to see this and see just how cruel
They can be.
they can be.
And he even said, you're on your own.
Yep. Turned around and walked away.
Yep. You're on your own. So when it comes down to it, he had been training her from day one to take over for him, saying, now's the time. So after she does the thing that she needed to, now she's got to escape.
Yeah. Well, and if you think about it, you know, I got to throw this in here.
Yep.
If you think about her dedication level, look what she went through just to get rid of the bug.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, she messed her hand up.
Yeah.
She put herself dead square in the crosshairs.
Yep.
And everything else just to get, because it had to be done.
Now, the other thing is, while she's about to escape, we do see one more flashback of her a little older, and him and Rael and Marky sitting at a table on a very familiar looking planet.
We've been here before, haven't we?
We have been here before.
Couple of times.
On the planet Naboo.
Boo.
Where even he was there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more to sabotage whatever was going on with the occupation of the Empire. Okay? Now, mind you, Senator Amidala is from Naboo. Anakin and Padme got married on Naboo.
They got it on.
They were going to have the kids on Naboo.
Or nanny nanny boo boo, as I call it.
Padme was buried on Naboo. Makes sense, right?
Yep.
Well, he gets to the point of teaching her the lesson of when it is proper to push the button. And this is what really gets her to the point of, okay, now I know what he means by being ready to push the button. Which is why she did what she did. She understands it 100% as an adult.
Yep.
Which is why they were showing her always being eager at a young age to take out the enemy.
Which is typical.
100% typical. 100%. But now she had to do it because it meant something. And it meant keeping the secrets that Luth and Rael had. Otherwise,
it meant her surviving and getting away.
Well, yes, it was meant for that too. But
yeah, ultimately, at this point.
But in order to escape, she needed to create a diversion, which is where pushing the other button came into play, triggering a series of explosions so she could escape that hospital unharmed. And escape she did.
Yep.
And to be honest, I thought that was such a great ending to that episode.
Yeah, it was.
Especially since they had no idea who she was. They don't know how she even got in there and how she took out Rail. All under their noses. And it was awesome seeing that.
It was.
It really was. It was awesome with the way they did it. Is it my turn to do this episode first? I forget.
Sure.
Or did I do first last time? I can't.
Actually, we've been waiting till the end and then doing.
Oh yeah. That's right. Which brings us to episode 2, Who Else Knows? Now, this is an interesting episode in and of itself.
You think?
Because now it's all on Miro and what she knows and what she found out and who did what and who had access to certain things and who found out information that she had no idea about.
And how she found out information that she wasn't supposed to know.
Yes. Like Luthen Rail. Director Krennic even makes an appearance in this episode.
Like the Death Star.
Yeah. Oh, well. Whew. The Death Star.
And I'll say this. Every plan of this type, of the Empire type,
Yes.
has scapegoats.
Yeah.
There's scapegoats for just about every possibility that can come up.
Yep. I would agree.
So that they can cover. There were scapegoats for Gorman, and the slaughters that happened there. So there's always the scapegoat. If you remember back when we first saw Marrow.
Yes.
Back in season 1.
Back in season 1. She was such a lovely officer, wasn't she?
I couldn't stand her. But I told you, there's something different. There's something off.
You did. You did.
And I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, it turns out what it was she was being set up as an Empire scapegoat the entire freaking time.
5 years worth.
The entire all the stuff with her hubby.
Yeah.
All the stuff before that and just everything else, and it led up to it. And mysteriously, they've already come up because they actually did it in 11 where they came up and arrested her.
Yes.
They came up and arrested Miro, and Miro's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Like, why are you arresting me?
Why am I the one being arrested? And this is where you slipped up and said that she was in jail.
Yeah, that was my fault.
And I was like, well, I didn't know that part. But anyway.
I didn't mean to.
And it really didn't affect me. It really didn't throw me off. In the back of my mind, I knew what was coming. Like I said, it still really didn't come until 12.
It was an accident. I'm sorry.
I know. I didn't get on you about it. But and even she's sitting there going, hey, let's go talk to June.
Yes.
Let's go talk to the boss because this isn't right.
Well.
Yeah, there was a lot going on at this point.
Yeah.
because she's sitting in a cell, and the big man, not her boss,
a big man on campus,
but
Director
the boss
Krennic.
above her, or the boss above him,
Yeah, Director Krennic.
comes in, and that's where the episode's name came from.
Who else knows?
She's like, knows what? What are you talking about? He's like, I don't have time for
Come
games.
with me.
Well, it turns out, in my opinion, what has been happening is they have been funneling certain information to her accidentally.
Yes.
Emails going to her that shouldn't have gone to her
Yes.
by accident and everything. Because the one line where we knew she was screwed was, I know I should have reported it.
Yeah, you should have.
I'm like, oh, damn, she's screwed.
As soon as that happened,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you're like, and there it goes.
Yep.
Because all hell's going to break loose. Want to say hi to Cass? Hello, darling.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
But the thing that makes it, and I'm going to go ahead and give it away, because in episode 12, they show her sitting in a prison cell.
Yeah.
Like we saw Cassian sitting in back in season 1.
Yep.
And the prison outfit.
Yep.
And I feel, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually feel bad for Meryl.
Right?
Because now she has to sit here
She was a 5-year scapegoat.
for however long she happens to live, because you know they're never going to let her out of jail. They're never going to let her out of prison.
Nope.
Because if they do, she's going straight to the freaking rebels and telling them everything.
Oh, yeah.
So they can never let her go. So she's going to spend the rest of her life sitting in this freaking jail cell, stewing on how they set her up.
Yes. Yes. And they set her up
I
big
can't
time.
think of a much worse way to spend the rest of your life.
In a prison cell that'll electrocute you as soon as you walk off the platform.
You know, and,
Things that make you go,
just all the thoughts of how they set her up
Yeah.
and took advantage of her and advanced her quickly through the ranks and did all this other stuff. But she thought she was doing so good. And she played the perfect freaking soldier for so long.
She really did. And she thought she was doing something good, you know?
And the only reason that they did it was because she was going after Luthen.
Yes.
And that's what they used. And that's what they look for. That's what people like this look for. They look for that weak link. They look for that one little thing in somebody's personality, like him what's his name, going after Cassian.
Yeah. Well,
You know, they find that thing.
that was a whole new ball game too.
But they find that little thing and they nurture it and they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And they nail you for it eventually.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I feel bad for Meryl.
I do and I don't. I do and I don't.
Yeah. I'm the same. You know, it's like, man, you got screwed on that deal, girl. But hey, at the same time, you were working for the Empire.
Yeah. Now the other thing is, while Marrow's being interrogated and being held in a prison on Coruscant, then she hasn't even been transferred to the other prison yet. We have Clea Markey trying to escape. Now she got out of the hospital, which is fine, but now she's got to get off world. She's got to get off Coruscant. She's back at the safe house, and she's taking pretty much everything apart to hook up a radio and do Morse code.
Cutting holes in walls and everything.
Oh yeah, pulling out. What was it? It was the old Imperial.
Part of the Imperial radio.
Yeah, the Imperial radio that they needed to take apart and put back together in order for her to communicate with not one but two specific people.
You know what the funny thing is?
Yeah.
because she took the one part out of the wall. I don't know where she got the other. I think that was up on the ceiling.
Yes, the ceiling.
But the first piece that she found, I'm not saying it's the same piece, but it was an exact same kind of piece that Marrow brought to Hit Luthen's studio to try to sell him.
Yes. Which worked. Which worked out very,
a little
very
bit of
well.
karma there, maybe.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it was karma,
Or
but it
a
certainly
little coincidence, you think?
it certainly did what they needed it to do.
Yeah.
Especially since she needed to get off world and she needed to communicate with somebody. And, obviously Cassian was the person to go.
Right.
Which I find it very interesting that Cassian still does not give a crap about about rank. He doesn't care.
Don't blame him.
He doesn't care. But the cool thing is, we see the return of K2, which we had seen repaired at the end of what was it, episode 9 there, right? Yep. And Alan Tudyk, who played K2 in Rogue One, has reprised his role as the voice, which amazing. We love Alan Tudyk. He will always be Wash in our eyes, well, at least in my eyes. Brown coats unite, and he's a leaf on the wind. Yes, leaf on the wind. Connor Williams is back. Hello, sir. And he says, Clea became one of my favorite characters this season. It was such a bold choice to have virtually a whole episode centered on a character played by an actress whose only credit is this show. Yes, absolutely. And she played this role very well.
Oh, and especially in these last 3 episodes.
Yeah. And I have a feeling this is not the last we've seen of her. Because, let's face it, she's not in Rogue One at all. Right. So the question becomes, what happened to her? Right.
Good to see you, Connor.
Ha-ha. Ha-ha. And he even said, and to have it land emotionally. Yeah, JT and I were talking about that right before the show. It was that whole, all of episode 10 was such an emotional roller coaster, especially for her character. It really, these last 6 episodes have really made made the characters more human, which is great. And
especially her, because she up until when she went and got the bug at the wedding and everything, she was really a third tier character.
Yeah.
When she went and got the bug, it moved her up, in my opinion, it moved her up to a second tier.
Yes.
And episode 10 put her top tier. She's now a top tier player in this thing.
Agreed.
So, but to see the progression that she's made, especially when you look at some of the other characters and the stagnation that they've had.
Yes.
I mean, I agree completely that, it's been a huge change in her.
Oh, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. And now, with her on the run, because let's face it, they're looking for her. They're looking for her big time.
And she knew. I mean, obviously.
Without a doubt.
And she knows that she's associated with Luthen.
Yeah. So now you have her trying to get off of Coruscant. She needs safe passage. And there's only one person she's going to trust, and that's Andor. Because really, as the conversation came about between receiving the communication and Andor and Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, we're seeing the entire Rebel Alliance leadership all in one room. And he's
Yeah, but who
flat
got
out,
the initial communication? Pack.
well, but I like that that Andor actually flat out said, we need to leave.
Yep.
We need to go and get. He was basically saying, listen, you're going to give me permission or not, and if you're not,
Well,
I'm gonna
actually,
go
what he
anyway.
was saying was, I'm going,
Yeah.
whether you give me permission or not.
And he went into this whole spiel, and I like it. And he did. He left.
Yeah. Well, he
Him?
was thinking that it was Luthen that was calling for the emergency extract, not her.
Right, and that's where what's his name, General Draven came into play, and we've seen General Draven in Rogue One, same actor reprising his role, and he was flat out told him, listen, no, we need to go. We need to go and get Luthen out. He's the only person that would send this code. He's the only reason why we're doing this. And if it wasn't for him, the Rebel Alliance wouldn't be what it is right now. We're going to get him. And they leave. Him, Ruscott, was it Ruscott Melshi, and Pack. And K2. So you got 3 people, and 1 droid ready to rock and roll. And
No, Pack didn't go.
well, he was the one who received it, but
Pack received the message
Yeah.
and then took it into Cassian and the other guy and Kay.
that's right. Pack stayed behind, right? So he stayed behind the cover for them, and it didn't work out so well.
Right. He got restricted to his quarters.
All the meanwhile, Supervisor Hirt is on his way to find Clea and get her, because they all know her face. They went through all the security footage. They found what they needed. They know she's on Coruscant. They know she didn't leave. They know they got facial scans and everything. But at the same time, the ISB is also doing their investigation into Luthen's store. And that's when they start seeing the Morse code pop up on the computer system.
Yeah. Talk about in the right place at the right friggin' time.
Right. So now not only is she sending out the message to Pack so Andor can go and get her, but now it's also going to the actual storefront. So now the Empire's like, wait a second.
Well, and the thing of it was, and that just the whole thing that you have to understand about this is the way that she's sending out the signal, because she sends it out a certain number of times,
Yes.
and then she waits
Yes.
a specific amount of time, and then she sends it again, and she keeps repeating that. And it's a system that Luthen set up specifically
For this.
Yep. With Cassian. So that way, this was still in the beginning, back before the Rebel Alliance had really started building.
Yep.
But it was an emergency extraction code that was sent at a specific pattern, at a specific gap, and everything, so that people would know, whoever got it, or when certain people got it, they would know,
Yes.
1, who it was, and 2, what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Now Connor even said that the fact that they gave him a character arc kind of blew his mind a little bit. So yes and no. Yes and no on that. and the reason that I say yes and no on that is mainly for the fact that they were already giving him a character arc in the first episode of the season. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot to gain. And he's absolutely right. It makes the characters feel alive. 100%. 100%. It made it real.
Yeah. I like what he says. Even tertiary characters like the ISB radio tech, the CCTV operator at the hospital, and the medical director, it makes the whole world feel,
And
basically, it makes it feel right.
And you got to remember, every single character has a name, a backstory, a history.
Well, even the CCT operator. Yeah, I've got a brother who's got an application in with ISP.
Yep.
Well, then I'll only have to tell you once to shut up.
Right. Get your
Wow.
work done.
Okay. You know,
Get
little
your work
things, and that's
done.
one of the things that I've loved about this series. And I said it in season 1, and Connor's nailing it. Just the way that they're concentrating. You don't really have any tertiary characters.
Right.
You know,
Everybody plays
the
a
people
role.
that they bring in, there's a reason
Yes.
that they brought them in. And, you know, it may just be, it's probably going to be the only time we're going to see the ISB tech or the CCTV operator.
Sure.
But they were humanized, completely
Everybody-
humanized. I mean, the look on her face on the ISB radio tech when that freaking light started going,
Yep.
the look on her face was perfect.
Oh, hands down.
It's
Absolutely.
exactly what I would have had on my face. Holy shit, what the hell is that?
Absolutely.
You know? And that's one thing that I've loved about this and how they've concentrated on things.
They make it real.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. Hands down, it's a 100% good thing. Okay? So now, Andor's on his way back to Coruscant, whether the Rebel Alliance likes it or not. And to be honest, I thought it was great.
Oh, but the way they ended that episode pissed me off.
Well, I mean, yeah.
There's 3 words in TV
Yeah.
that I hate more than allegedly. And you know how much I hate the word allegedly.
Yes.
These 3 words I hate more than that.
Yes.
And that is to be continued.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was part of it.
Yeah. And they didn't actually use them, but they may as well have.
Yeah.
Just floated it up like they do the, beginning dialogue. Even Connor says, it pisses me off too. Thank you, Connor.
I love it.
Connor, I like you, man. I like you.
I love it. I really do. But it makes for great conversation. Okay. And
Connor's like, for all of 2 seconds. And I was like, oh, wait, I can watch the next episode right now. I don't have to wait a week.
yeah.
It's the only good thing about it, Connor.
But you got to remember one thing, though. And JT, you can probably back me up on this. Even Connor, you could probably back me up depending on your age. Back in the 80s and 90s, sometimes we had to wait the entire summer.
That's how they did it. That was
You always had
your
that
season
to be
ender. The cliffhanger.
if it wasn't to be continued, it was to be concluded.
Right.
And you're
Or they
like,
just said nothing.
What?
Those were the worst ones. Those were because we never knew for sure that it was coming back
Yeah.
in the fall or in the spring.
Yeah.
So you're like, what do I do now?
Yeah. I mean,
But that's where I got my lovely dispassion hate for those 3 words.
okay, I can understand that. I can.
Yeah.
I can understand that. And again,
Kay laughed at me.
they still do it today. They still do that stuff today.
Oh yeah.
Hell, they did it with Cobra Kai. They broke up the entire season into 4 parts. Like, seriously.
Mm-hmm. Kay laughed at me because I was like, my God, son of a bitch. Kay's just busting out laughing. You knew it was coming.
Right. Yes.
I was like, wow.
Not
I
only
was
did you
hoping that-
know it was coming, but you knew at least the next episode was going to be all about getting Clea off Coruscant.
Yeah.
The
You know what I
question
love
is,
though?
who was going to get to her first? Andor? Or was it going to be the douchebag?
Right. What I loved was when the ISB went in the wrong apartment.
Oh, yeah.
That was friggin' out. Doors open and his family's sitting there like, "Wow, what the hell's going on here?"
The older couple, that was great.
Oh, it's a one floor up, guys.
Well, that, I mean, you know, obviously they're tracing the signal now because, you know, it was ringing in the storefront as well as in the operating room of the communications room. And Andor's on his way. K2 is there. He's flying the ship. And who's going to get there first? Who's going to get there first? Andor obviously made it there first, but the Empire was right behind.
Yeah, that was the one thing that I kind of had an issue with.
I didn't have an issue with it.
In episode 12. Well, no, let me be a little bit more specific here. Hang on a second. I got to ban somebody. Okay.
Dum.
The one thing that I had an issue with this episode is how much time they spent in that frickin' apartment.
Right?
Talking.
Right?
I'm sorry. I'm here for an emergency extraction. Shut your frickin' mouth, grab your shit, and let's go. We'll talk once we get on the ship and get off planet.
But you also needed that conflict.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. You know, it worked. It made the entire thing work beautifully. But I still had an issue with that.
Without a doubt. I mean, and don't get me wrong, you know, if you think about it, the reason that they did it was not just to have the conflict between Supervisor Hurt and Andor and all of them, but the other thing about that was you kind of needed to give K2 a little bit of a spotlight as well. You know?
Well, and you had to give him time.
Yes, you had to give him time. And
once he figured out what was going on, you had to give him time to get from the ship to the front door, through the lobby, up the elevator, and down the hallway.
Right. And for Clea, her job was mainly so she didn't have to go to Yavin 4. She didn't want to go to Yavin 4.
No, because she knew how everybody thought of them on Yavin 4.
Right. She thought she was going to get pushed aside and that was it. But in the long run, she was doing exactly what Luthen did for her. Repeat it.
Yep.
This is the information. Yeah. Repeat it.
It's what she yelled. She literally yelled at him because, like, what are you talking about? Just do it.
Just do it.
I like what Connor says. He says, I bet the art department was annoyed that they had to design another look for that Coruscant apartment set. We're seeing that was about 2 seconds long.
Well, yeah, true. But it worked.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have been too hard to make that transition from an apartment that had been occupied to one that hadn't been occupied for at least a year.
Yeah.
You know, everything covered in dust and all that stuff. And, you know, then her having to bust through the wall and everything that she had to do. But it worked. They did a great freaking job, though. But yeah, that was my issue, is how much time they spent in that apartment.
Yeah.
I understand it worked well for the storyline and everything else, but I had an issue with that. But that's the military infantry guy in me.
True. And I can understand that. And let's face it, with this episode, first and foremost, K2 was hysterical.
K2 was freaking awesome. So and I love how they showed K2 learning.
Yes.
While they were playing poker.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome. Like, why are you doing that? Makes no sense.
I mean, what was it? He was doing the mathematical odds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Connor says, one thing that this arc did really well that I thought Arc 1 didn't do as good a job with was the balancing of humor and wow.
Existential.
Thanks. I got all tongue-tied. I did. I got all tongue-tied. But yes, the dread. And he also says that K2 could so easily have become a distraction, but he was perfect. Yes, exactly. It was that little nuance slash scene of, okay, they're going to be surrounded. They're not going to be able to get out of here. I need to go and help them, even though Andor told me to stay in the ship.
And keep the engine running.
So instead, he did what he needed to do. He's reprogrammed. So he's going to protect his master. That's his job. That's his job.
Yeah.
And
they brushed these characters together so well.
They really did.
They really, really did. And I agree with Connor. They did an excellent job across the board, better in season 2 than they did in season 1.
Yeah.
Of doing that.
And it worked. It really did. It worked so well that it made the whole rescue scene serious, but with that small little comedic element that you needed. And don't get me wrong, there is really not a lot of humor in Star Wars. There isn't.
No.
But there are so many different characters, and I've said this from day one, that there are so many different characters that you need to move away from the Sith and the Jedi and center around the more obscure characters in the background. The ones like Andor.
I think what they're doing is a great idea, because, I mean, they're expanding the entire universe.
Oh, without a doubt. And, I mean, the Star Wars universe is huge.
Yeah. And you know, and the thing is, we're talking about the comedic factor that K2 added.
Yeah.
I can tell you for a fact.
I mean, the fact that he just punched somebody off a bridge.
Well, yeah, that was awesome. But I can tell you for a fact, there are people, and I was one of them.
Yep.
Who, in a stressful situation, be it combat or what they're going through here, or, you know, whatever the situation may be,
crack jokes.
Sometimes it's good to have somebody there to lighten the mood up a little bit.
Yeah.
They're not taking away from the moment.
No.
But they're trying to make it to where the others can handle the situation a little better, because it calms them down, brings them back to reality a little bit.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you need that. So that comedic factor right there with K2, you know, gave that balance, gave that look, because that was a heavy freaking scene.
Oh, yeah.
From start to finish, that was one of the heaviest scenes that we've seen in Andor season 2.
Yeah.
But to have that little bit of humor in there, just kind of lighten it up just a little bit. I mean, not so bad.
Well, I also liked that this entire rescue scene with K2, you know, coming up from behind. I mean, he took out Sergeant Garrel, Sergeant Benzie, Hirt.
I love when he used the guy for the shield.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, he took them out so quick.
Yep.
That they didn't even stand a chance against their own Imperial droid.
Yep.
I think we made them just a little too good.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So clearly K2 saves the day, and they do eventually get off world. And what they do from there is, well, they, you know, I mean, one, they had a flash grenade, so Clea was knocked out unconscious, and she was definitely not feeling herself because, oh, by the way, it blew up like right in front of her. Sending her
into the wall, knocked Andor out for a second.
Yep. But he was fine.
Yeah.
He was good.
It's not the first flashbang he's experienced in his lifetime.
No. I mean, he was in prison for quite some time and staged an escape. So, yeah. You know? Connor wants to know if they had some kind of military consultant on this season. The deployment of troops and the logistics of where they positioned themselves felt super realistic. Most likely.
I don't think they necessarily had a consultant, but more than likely they had people there with military experience.
Yeah.
Especially combat arms military experience. Because you're right, the formations they did, the way they moved and everything else, it was very military-esque.
Well, the other thing is they could have gotten the cosplayers from the 501st.
Right.
Because, and Star Wars knowledge for you, a little tidbit, was with The Mandalorian, they needed stormtroopers and they needed Mandalorians and they needed all these background extras for a lot of the scenes, and they got in touch with the 501st because their uniforms are accurate and they are the only group that is recognized by Lucasfilm and George Lucas to be official characters.
Right.
And they used them as extras because they couldn't build the costumes in time. They didn't have time to get new cast members because they had
train everybody and
they had a whole bunch of shit going on. And the 501st was the first ones to go, yes, absolutely, let's do it.
We'll help you out.
So it's a possibility that they probably used the 501st for this too. Because why not? If you're working well with them, you got the people. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So from there we escape Coruscant and we get back to Yavin 4. And again, I know we're skipping around, but we got to get this squared up because honestly, JT and I need a break.
Yeah, we're running out of time and energy really fast.
Yeah, real quick. because the next show starts in June, at the end of June. But that's besides the point. But at least it gives us a few. It gives us a few breaks. But the one thing is now we get back to Yavin 4, and obviously Andor is in big trouble. Big trouble.
The big boss is there now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the big boss was there, but we finally see Mon Mothma. We see Bail Organa now on Yavin 4. He's not on Coruscant anymore. He tends to stop in whenever he's on his way back to Alderaan. And we also see the rest of the council, the rebellion of the alliance, the Rebel Alliance, and they're not too happy with him.
Yeah,
they're really not. They're not too happy with Andor because
to add to it is the way that he came back.
Yes.
Because he came in hot. He didn't do the usual things that they do to when you come in and all this stuff. He came in flying hot. They're like,
he ignored.
Ended
everybody.
up getting an X-wing escort.
He ignored everybody.
Mm-hmm. just okay. Fly.
Yeah, just fly. Get there fast. Let's go. Do it. And it was interesting that they were trying to basically hold Andor responsible for possibly giving away the location of Yavin.
Yeah.
And they're blaming Luthen Rail, and that's when he says he's dead. Luthen Rail is dead. Clea Markey is the only survivor, and if it wasn't for Luthen Rail, you wouldn't be in this room today.
Yeah, he said that multiple times.
And then personally, I thought this was the best play that Andor had was, if it wasn't for me, Mon Mothma would not be standing here today. Mm-hmm. And she backed him up big time against Bail Organa.
Yeah.
Big time. Because he had no idea. He had no idea that it was Andor that rescued her.
Yeah. I'm the one who got her out.
Uh-huh. Because I was there because Rail told me to get her. And I did it without
And he's like,
question.
I understand how you think about Rail. I understand how the relationship that you guys have, but you have to understand everything that he's done for you, everything
Yeah.
that he's done for this cause over the years. And yeah, you may not have liked the way that he's done it.
Right.
You may not have liked the way he's gone around it. It may not have been the way that you would have done it.
Mm-hmm. But
he had to look at protecting himself at the same time.
yeah.
So deal with it. The fact of the matter is, the man gave his life to give us, one, to get us to where we are today.
Yep.
And two, to get us the biggest piece of information that we have ever gotten when it comes to the Empire
Yep.
and what they're doing.
And we need to do more.
Yep.
And he spills the beans. He's like, listen, the Imperial Power Program was a farce.
Yep.
It was all lies, which is what they said in the first 2 episodes of this 3-episode arc. The Emperor is building something big. Connor says, and more importantly, it was Luthen who discovered Bale's team was corrupt. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Luthen Rail did, he did for a reason. And he also knew he was never going to see the Alliance. He was never going to see the fall of the Empire. He knew that. So now
The man may have gone about things in a way that most didn't like, but it was effective.
Yep. So now we see Mon Mothma is finally backing up Andor. And even asks permission to go see Marky.
To go to the medical bay.
To go to the medical bay before I go back to my quarters, which is his house on Yavin 4.
Wait, she jumped up real quick. Granted. Before Organa had a chance to say anything.
It was great. It was just like, boom. Yep, absolutely. Go for it. Absolutely. But again, Mon Mothma knew Luthen Rail and Marky. So she has every right to say, yes, absolutely, you have permission. Not only did you save my life, but you did everything you needed to do. If it wasn't for Andor, the Alliance wouldn't be what it is.
I did love the one line. Maybe you should stop saving people.
Yeah.
She said that, and I'm like, oh my God.
That was great. I love that line.
That was funny. Again, a little comedy, just a little ding,
It was just enough. That
little funny bone hit, bam.
And even with that, now we've got a lot of different things going on where we're on Yavin 4. Obviously, Marky is not just in the medical bay, but is being treated for her injuries. She's up and about. She's talking with other people. She's talking with people that she knows.
She's looking very when they first show her in the bay, though, when the tech is working on her, when Andor came to visit.
Yep.
You could tell she is very untrusting.
Yes.
Just by the way she's watching the nurse the tech that's taking care of her.
Yes.
And everything, which is totally understandable because she knows what people on Yavin 4 think of her. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't trust anybody.
Nope.
And she really doesn't even trust the people that she knows, like Cassie.
Yeah.
But she's there. She's got to make the best of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also see what's her name? Mothma's sister there. I forget her freaking name.
Let's see. Hang on.
I forget her name. But again, there's so many names to remember. It's crazy. But we see her pop up. Not only does she
Lady.
talk... Which one?
Leda.
Yes. Leda, thank you.
Leida.
So she pops up. Obviously, she does have a conversation with
Oh, it's her
Mothma.
daughter.
That's right, her daughter. That's right, not her sister.
Yeah.
Her daughter. The oldest daughter. Oldest daughter.
Yes.
And so she has a conversation with Marky. I thought it was a very good conversation as well. But she also meets up with Andor and has a conversation with him.
Right.
And she even tells him, you know, you need to get in touch with Bix. And Andor, I kind of liked Andor's response.
I loved it. It was a perfect response.
He said, I will when all of this is over.
Yeah, she's not safe around me.
Right. So he's doing it for her protection. And I liked that. I liked it because it did tie into Rogue One.
Yeah. And the other thing I liked was her final statement. Don't wait too long.
Yeah, don't wait too long. Because you're going to want to come in contact with them. Connor says he liked the comedy of Draven's exchange with Bail. Bail, is this Andor with a stolen ship on an unsanctioned mission? You could make that case.
Make that case.
It's very true. It's very true. But again, he even said, the minute I'm being told what to do, where to be, I'm out.
I'm gone.
I'm gone.
Yep.
He said that.
But the nice thing is that what's the almost bald guy who's got the Purina dog chow rank badge on his shirt?
Which one?
The one that gets on Andor.
Draven?
Is that Draven?
Yeah, General Draven.
Him and Mon Mothma, I love the fact that they walked in together to Bail Organa and said, we need to talk and you need to listen.
Yes. Yeah.
We need to talk and you need to listen because we know what's been going on. You don't.
Right. And that's the thing. When it came to Bail Organa, and don't get me wrong, when it comes down to politics and everything like that, yeah, he's a great senator for Alderaan.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what he knows.
Yeah.
And not only that, but he's trying to be the leader of something he knows nothing about.
Yep.
Well,
he knows about it, but he doesn't know everything that's gone into it and, you know, all the little intricacies of what's happened and everything else. But I love how... I love how not doing it in a mean way.
Yeah.
But I love how they sat there and kind of verified that what she was telling Cassian
yes,
was true.
Yeah.
You know, and that, so you want me to spy on her kind of thing. It's not that. It's just we need to find out if you believe what he believes is true.
Yes.
And, so it's kind of a double check kind of thing, cover, measure twice, cut once kind of thing and everything. And then when they got that information and they went to Bail Organa and said, hey, you got to listen to us.
Listen and don't be stupid.
Yeah. And Bail Organa kind of had to eat a little bit of crow.
Yes.
At the end of this episode, which to me was very refreshing because you don't see that very often, because he actually went to Andor himself and said, you have a mission.
Yeah. You have a mission.
And for the big man himself, big man on campus to come to you and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
I need you to do this. I believe in you now."
Yeah. Now, the one thing that we do see the force sensitive healer again, as Andor's putting on his coat and leaving.
And he nods to her.
Yes, he does. He nods to her.
He actually acknowledges her this time.
He's like, "Yo, what up?"
He just, "Hey, how you go? How's it going?
How you doing? Hey, how you doing? Huh? How you doing?
I'll come holler at you later. I got something to do."
How you doing? You doing good? Doing real good? Just checking. You got to make sure you're doing good, okay? Got to make sure you're doing good.
The end scene span that they went through at the end of this episode was awesome.
And this is straight from Tony Gilroy on this whole last scene. Okay, now I've seen people complain about the last scene, and I've seen people think that the last scene is amazing. Okay, so first, what did you think of the last scene?
Well, what are you calling the last scene? Are you talking about where they
He's walking to
go
on the
over
tarmac.
everybody as Cassian's walking to the ship?
Yep, that's the last scene.
I loved it because it closes the book on everybody.
Yes. Well, almost.
And on everybody that it needs to.
Yes.
You know, it closes the book on her. It closes the book on him, and this and that. All the other quote unquote tertiary characters.
Yep.
It closes that chapter.
Yes.
And at the same time, it opens up a next chapter, even though we're not going to have one. Although, you know, going into the movie span, you know, it opens up the next chapter for several other of the characters.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. I liked it.
And this entire scene of him putting the coat on and walking down the tarmac, according to Tony Gilroy, as he put it, it is no secret. I've said it a million times. The last episode of our show will walk Cassian across the tarmac to the ship on his way to the Ring of Kafrene to begin the movie, which is exactly what he's doing because he's tracking kyber crystals.
Yeah, and Connor has a great point.
What?
Earlier in the thing, or in just a little bit before this happens.
Yep.
When he's talking with the daughter.
Yes.
And you know, she mentions his mother. Oh, when they're toasting.
Ah, yes, the toast.
When they're toasting each other, and she mentions, you know, one of the people that she mentions in the toast is his mother.
Yes.
And Connor says the one thing that I saw someone point out is that Cassian watered his plants before he leaves, which I found very neat.
He did.
He says that was a reference to his mother, Marva, who he still thinks about.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't you think about your own mother?
I didn't think about that part.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But the watering the plants thing was really cool.
It's a great tie-in to the first season.
Yeah.
Very great tie-in. Now, Andor and K2 are on their way. Which is amazing. Because obviously their next adventure starts in Rogue One. Perfect timing. Now, according to continuity, yes, there's some notes here. In the novelization of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, it was stated that Andor was on Kuralag when Tivik contacted him. But in the Star Wars Rogue One Rebel dossier, yes, both books, this contradicts the novelization, saying that he was already on Kafrene searching for the kyber crystal shipments. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say the dossier is continuity. Andor is continuity, obviously. And Rogue One is the next in the continuity. So the novelization of Rogue One, a Star Wars story, bye. See you later. I'm just putting it out there. But most of the time, we don't really get twists in Star Wars. Aside from, and again, we're very limited to this, the twist of Darth Vader being Luke Skywalker's father in Empire Strikes Back, where we all found that out. Again, the reason why that is still the best of the Star Wars films. Don't care who you are. I respect your opinions on what you think is the best one, but for me, Empire Strikes Back will always be the best one. But obviously the next twist that we all saw coming was that Rey is not Rey Skywalker. She is Rey Palpatine and becomes Rey Skywalker, but that's a whole nother ball game. And of course, everything that happened in Rogue One. Now, with that being said, I am so glad they put a twist that I called.
The end scene.
Now, Connor, you weren't here for this one.
No, you weren't. Oh, by the way, real quick. Hi, Brewer.
Hi, Brewer. The one thing that I loved about this was the twist of seeing Bix in the field back on the planet where everything started, holding a baby. That same baby that Andor wanted to have with Bix to have a life outside of the Rebel Alliance. That's what he wanted.
He tried to convince her about before she left him.
Yes.
So that he wouldn't leave the Alliance.
Yes. Which I still called.
Yes, you did.
Because I said, how much you want to make a bet she's pregnant? Which is why she left.
Yep.
Because she was smart and got off the planet. Which makes it even better. Connor says the show retroactively makes the sequels even worse, if that's even possible. Mon Mothma was responsible for the demilitarizing of the New Republic, which allowed the First Order to rise. There's more to it. But yes, it does make her look like a naive idiot, as Connor just said as well. And it establishes that she absolutely is not. It's very true. But there's a lot of contradictions, and I don't think it had to do with just Mon Mothma demilitarizing the New Republic. I think their forces were stretched thin.
We could do a 2-hour show on all the contradictions.
We could do a whole, we could do a whole different. That's a whole,
and not just from Andor, from Obi-Wan, from Mandalorian, and everything else.
We could do a whole big thing on that, and that's just. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a road we don't want to mess with. It really isn't.
Not tonight, anyway. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But
you forgot one big twist.
Which one?
Marrow.
No, I didn't get to that yet.
Okay. All right.
I didn't get to that yet.
Okay.
Because they showed Bix with the baby first.
No, I'm just talking about what happened to Marrow.
Oh, well, I'm getting there. Now, because you don't see Marrow really at all in this episode. But this whole last scene with Andor walking on the tarmac, getting in the ship and flying away, Bix and the baby. We see Krennic overseeing the Death Star construction, and that it's almost complete. Which even then is contradictory to one of the scenes in season 1.
Yeah, we're not going to get back into that.
But we're not going to get back into that. That's a whole whoops. They screwed up on that one. But we also see Supervisor Marrow in prison wearing the same exact jumpsuit that, JT mentioned it earlier on in the show, that she is now in prison on the same prison planet that Andor was on, to the fact that if you leave your bunk, you're going to get killed by touching the floor. Which I was surprised, because in all honesty, I thought they were going to kill her. But they made the prison sentence even worse.
They're the kind of people who, torture is what they love.
Yes, that is true.
Torture is what they love. So if they can torture somebody for an extremely long period of time,
Yep.
without having to do anything other than give them a little bitty freaking cubicle,
Yep.
I think they're going to do it. Plus, like I said, they can't let her go.
Nope.
So they either had to kill her,
Yeah.
or they had to keep her.
Agreed.
I think it was better for the storyline that they kept her.
Yes, I agree.
Without a doubt there.
And like you said, it makes you feel for her.
Mm-hmm.
That she was a scapegoat from day one. Not only that, I did forget to mention that, what's his name there? Her boss.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
What the hell was his name? I
can't
forget.
think of his name, but he had four blue dots on his uniform.
Yes. I'm trying to remember his name. What the hell was her supervisor's name?
Hang on. Mothma's
No,
boss.
Deidre Marrow. Trying to remember. You had Krennic, who is the director of advanced weapons research, which he gets his comeuppance in.
Damn it.
Heroes. Which he gets his comeuppance on Scarrick. Connor even says the fate of Deidre Marrow was brilliantly conceived because no one I saw online had predicted it at all. A lot of people thought her fate would be ironic, like being stationed on the Death Star. That would have been interesting. Partigaz, thank you. Thank you, Connor. Thank you.
There you go. Yep, I just got it too.
Thanks, man. Again, there are so many characters you can't remember all of them.
Too many to remember, yeah.
It is really, really hard. It really is. Like, it is so difficult.
I wasn't expecting this with him, though.
Which one?
To be honest with you.
His ending to the story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Really? You weren't expecting
I wasn't really expecting, because I didn't really feel like he failed.
But he did. How did he fail?
I don't think he did, but that's just me.
You don't think he failed?
No. Because they were setting her up from above.
But not him.
So, why did his fate end up that way?
Because she was under him. She jumped the gun. Therefore...
But they made her jump the gun.
Yes, they made her jump the gun, but you also have to remember...
It's a whole web that we could argue about for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember that, aside from her, Jung was under her, next, partners, friends, they knew each other, had her access, so it goes up the chain. It goes up the chain of command now, and...
I forgot about that, yeah.
So
yeah, he spent 3 hours in her files.
Yeah. So...
Forgot about that.
So now Project Stardust got released. He knows that information. You got to get rid of loose ends.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
So technically,
I don't really agree with that one, but...
And in a lot of ways, he failed, and Krennic said he needs to go.
Yeah.
Not only that,
I think he kind of got set up too, but
not only that, but if you think about it, Clea's escape from Coruscant made him fail, because now you have multiple supervisors who were killed because of it.
True. Yeah, you add that in there, and he was in charge of the team that went in.
Yep.
So yeah, okay.
So
I'll give you that one.
So in a lot of ways, he did. He failed. Which,
Yeah, I'll give you that one. You've convinced me.
The fact that his friend and counterpart, what was it, Captain Legret?
Connor nailed it.
What?
Connor friggin' nailed it perfectly. I guess that speaks to the brilliance of Partagaz's fate. He didn't fail personally, but he was in operational command. It shows how fascism often throws away its brightest and most competent.
Yep, absolutely.
Couldn't sum that up better.
Absolutely. But
see, Sully, if you'd have said that, then that'd have been fine.
I mean, I pretty much did. I pretty much did, just not in those words.
I'm the redneck, man. You got to make it easy to understand.
But if you think about it, with Legret, he was, he gave him the gun and flat out said, listen, either you take your own life or you're going to have to face the consequences.
Well, and then he stopped the troopers from going in after he fired the shot.
That was so cool.
He's just like,
nope, just wait.
Didn't say a word. Just raise his hand. Nope,
just wait. And I like that they did that, because that was one of those, they were ready to do their job because they had to. And Legret was just like, chill.
Give him a chance to bleed out, guys.
And he did shed a tear. Legret did shed a tear.
Yep.
Because he didn't walk away right away. He just stood there. Yep. Because that was his friend. So a lot happened.
And that's why I say, I mean, they closed the book on a lot of characters.
Yes, absolutely.
And they opened up the book for the next chapters for a lot of characters.
Yep. Which is where Rogue One comes into play. So, I think it's my turn to start, right?
Yes, sir.
My turn to start. So, episode 10, I am giving a 4.
Okay.
I kind of wanted to see a little bit more with Marky's backstory, but I loved what they added. That whole episode, just her backstory was absolutely amazing. I just wanted to see a little bit more. Just a little. Not too much.
It really personalized her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hands down. Personalized her big time.
Yeah.
Episode 11, The Escape.
Who else knows?
Who else knows? I'm not going to lie. I'm giving it a 4.5.
Okay.
It was exactly the episode we needed at the right time to tie everything together with taking all of the characters that we know and getting them off Coruscant. Was it perfect? No. Was it great? Yes. Could it have been better? I don't know.
I don't know if they really could have improved on that episode, dude.
I don't think
really
they could have. So. Maybe if there were... I think they nailed it by not putting in a fighter chase scene. I really do.
The only thing I think would have maybe set things up a little more.
Yep.
Would have been showing Meryl having some kind of a breakdown.
Yes.
Before she was transferred off planet.
Yeah. Maybe.
But I mean,
showing that more emotion. That more raw emotion. I think you're right on that. That's probably the one thing I would have added.
That's the only thing that I can think of that would have even touched the episode.
And let's see, episode 12. Now, mind you, episode 12, a lot had been going on. Okay. The twists were great. The tie-ins were fantastic. The the Republic Council honestly was perfect. Is it enough to warrant a 5? No, it's not. Am I giving it a 4? No. I am, however, going to give it a 4.75.
Okay.
The only reason why, this is the only reason why I'm giving it a 4.75 is because of Andor's kid. All we know is it's just a kid. It's just a baby. We don't know.
See, I freaked.
We don't know if it's
I
a boy.
freaked.
We don't know if it's a girl. We have no idea if it's force sensitive or not. And not only that, I'm seeing rumor upon rumor, and man, are they getting shot down big time. Big time. People are like, oh, it's Poe Dameron. No, it's not. Poe was born after the Battle of Yavin. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. It's not Rey. It's not Din Djarin. Theories are gone and out the window, folks. Just saying. So 4.75 for me for number 12. What you got, sir?
All right. Real quick, Connor says, in Partagaz's first scene in season 1, he likens the role of the ISB to that of the healthcare providers.
Yeah.
In his final days, he talks about Clea being diseased.
Yes.
And refers to the rebellion spreading.
Yep. It's true.
Mentioned in episode 10.
Yep.
Mentioned in episode 12.
Yep.
Was one of the first things I talked about tonight.
Yep. Absolutely.
Episode 10, I'm right with you. I'm at a 4.
Okay.
Great episode. Just so many things going on, and they set everything up for episode 11 perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
I am with you on episode 11 as well at a 4.5.
Nice.
11 was, for everything that they had to do to set everything up for episode 12.
Yep.
They did it perfectly. And like I said, you kind of felt like there was something missing that could have pushed it over the top.
Yep.
But I can't figure out what it would be. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe something more with Miro, like I said. I don't know. I don't know. I worry that if they would have added more, that would have ruined the episode. Because they were trying too hard, maybe. Something like that.
I would have to agree with you on that one.
Now, episode 12.
Yes.
So many what the fuck moments.
Right?
Well, and that's why in my intro I talked about this being, it was like being in a room with M. Night Shyamalan as he's writing the frickin' series, because there's so many twists and turns in this. That's like, what?
Yeah.
Where'd that go? What? How the hell that happen? You know, it through 10, 11, and 12.
Sure what?
We didn't have that before this. So that added to this. Seeing the baby.
Yep.
Seeing Bix and the baby there at the end.
That was a good twist.
I freaked. I lost my friggin' mind. I instantaneously thought of Rey.
Oh, yes, that's right. You texted me on that.
And that's when I messaged you.
Like, nope.
Is she holding Rey?
She ain't born yet.
Is it a 5? No. Is it a 4.5? No.
Ooh.
Is it a
Higher?
4.75? No.
Oh, going lower, huh?
4.9.
Oh, wow.
4.9. Now, overall.
Yep.
Overall for the series.
Yep.
For Andor 1 and Andor 2.
Well, you got to do season 2 first.
Season 2, I'm giving a 4.75.
All right. Sounds good.
Season 2 is a 4.75.
I think that's a little higher than season 1 was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was a whole. Season 1 was good. Season 1 was easily a 4.5.
It really was.
But everything that they did in season 2, even with as slow as it felt in the first 9 episodes,
Yep.
was still without a pacing problem, which is hard to do.
Yeah, the pacing was great.
Setting everything up the way they did.
Yep.
To come to the conclusion that they did it was perfect. So overall, for 1 and 2, I'm giving it a 4.9.
Nice. I like it. I like it. I like it. Well, for me, season 2, I'm right there with you. Right there with you. For everything.
Yeah.
Overall, both seasons.
Yeah.
I'm also right there with you. 4.9. Now here's the thing. If I'm going to rate this amongst all the other shows, I would say, because we did Bad Batch, we did all 3 seasons of the Bad Batch, and I would say between all of the seasons, aside from the Mandalorian, Bad Batch, and Andor are so far the best ones out of all of them.
Kind of liked Obi-Wan more than I like Bad Batch.
Which is fine. Which is fine because we did Obi-Wan also.
I would swap those two.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'm there with you.
But in the long run, if I was to rate it among all the series we've done for Star Wars so far, I would say that it is a tie between Andor and Mandalorian.
Really?
Yes. Totally different stories, clearly. But I like that they tied it together to the movie. We knew they were going to tie it together with the movie.
Right.
But it kept you going.
I would go Mandalorian 1.
Yeah. Well, season 1 for Mandalorian was amazing, so.
Well, but all of them have been.
Yeah.
I want to put Andor in a tie with Obi-Wan.
Okay.
But you know what? I have to. Obi-Wan season 2 is getting ready to come out here in a little while.
That we know of. It's just rumor right now.
So I'm going to leave him for a tie right now. And with the caveat of when we get season 2, and I'm going to speak it into existence. When we get season 2 of Obi-Wan, we'll take and then we can compare them nuts to nuts.
I like that. You're going to will it into existence.
Oh, yes, I'm going to not will it, speak it into existence.
That's great.
But yeah, definitely. I mean, Bad Batch was good. Don't get me wrong. I would definitely put them at least third with putting Obi-Wan and Andor as a tie.
Yeah.
If they're not tied, then Bad Batch would fall to 4.
Okay.
But they've all been good.
Yeah. Well,
other than Acolyte.
Acolyte.
You know, I kind of liked Acolyte. Most didn't, but I kind of liked Acolyte. I would put Acolyte at 5.
You know, we liked it. We liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the Acolyte. It had potential.
Yeah.
And you know, we get to that point even with Acolyte where the story was good. They could have done things differently.
Yeah. I think they rushed it. If they would have taken a little more time with it, it could have been better.
Yeah,
the only thing that would push Andor up for me was if they would have been able to take what they did in this season and put it into 2 seasons, so a 3-season series.
Yeah.
Where they could have gone a little bit more into detail on the little things that we wanted.
Yep.
But for what they had to do of taking 4 seasons worth of stuff and condensing it into 1 and make it all make sense and not leave us sitting here like, what the hell?
Yeah.
They did great. And that's part of the reason that it is. I mean, it's not far behind Mando. It really isn't.
So,
but it made it, it made it really good.
And again, Ahsoka was great too.
Oh, I loved Ahsoka.
Ahsoka was definitely up there in the top
I
five.
would love to see another series of Ahsoka.
That's coming. Season 2 is coming.
Good.
So, according to Kathleen Kennedy, season 2 for Obi-Wan Kenobi is not active development, but never say never. Never say never.
I would love to see a season 2 of Obi-Wan.
And obviously, Ewan McGregor is all for it. He even said that he was all for it. So, only time will tell when it comes to that. Now, with that being said, that is the end of this version of 2 Ewoks in the Park. One, I can't believe we did 3 episodes in one show every week for the last
4 weeks in a row.
Which means we have a month off.
We can use it. We can use it.
We have a month off. We're going to use it. I will say that we will be back at the end of June / beginning of July with Avenger Pretenders. That's right. Avenger Pretenders will be back.
What are we going with for this one?
With Avenger Pretenders, it'll be Ironheart. It's a 6-episode miniseries centering around Riri Williams from Black Panther, where she has a scholarship with MIT and basically makes her own Iron Man armor right then and there. So it kind of ties with what happened in Black Panther Wakanda Forever and is the next step in Riri's story as becoming part of the Avengers or the new Avengers or the young Avengers all the way out in California. So that should be interesting to say the least. But that'll be, what is it? I think it comes out June 24th. So June 30th will be Avenger Pretenders. So we've got time. Thank God. We got time. It's going to be great. Which means, I hope you don't get mad at us for not having a show next week because it's Memorial Day. Memorial Day is next Monday, and it's also my little Jedi's birthday. So we're not doing a show, and I'm glad that we were able to get this out of the way. So with that being said, we will be live tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here on Accidental Punch TV with The Sully Show. So make sure you tune in. We got a great show planned. JT's already got pretty much 99.9% of the prep sheet already done because he's just been feeding me articles. I'm like, yep, put it on. Yep, put it on. Yep, put it on. It's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. We got some new trailers that we're going to review as well. Those are not on there, but I'll get to them. And I think you found the dumbass of the week as well, right, JT?
Well, I might have found 2 more contenders.
Oh, boy. We're going to have to talk about those.
We have a quick talk.
We'll have to talk about those. So, for everybody watching, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. We will see you tomorrow for The Sully Show and back in the end of June when Avenger Pretenders kicks back up. As always, have a great night, and may the Force be with you.